and others, but is also a way of life for her. Casey will do what it takes to improve everything we do from the last time we did it, and often innovates so we're never predictable. Casey also embodies our core value number 5, integrity. Casey is diligent to keep the company's integrity aligned. One example of this is postponing the announcement of the ANHC bonus to BHC before we announce the date of the ANHC marketing bonus to grads. Casey will always ensure that we are saying and delivering what we're promising, and goes above and beyond to chickadee check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. Casey also helped me align my integrity, as she was my buddy this morning, or this afternoon rather, for me, when I was running late to today's meeting. Leadership. Casey embodies core value number 7, leadership. Casey is someone who builds team members into leaders of their own department or role or task and the overall company. She is the first person to encourage a member of staff to step up to the plate, because she understands that true leadership goes hand in hand with empowerment, and that every individual person has unique gifts to offer. I've also been awed by the way Casey will not back down for something or someone she believes in, even if that means a passionate debate or having a passionate debate. And another core value that Casey embodies is fun. Casey is someone that I personally always have fun with, and it results in magical ideas, fabulous next steps, and diva-esque to-dos. Because of these reasons, I've dubbed Casey my #event roomie for life, so that we can jump on the bed occasionally when we pull a work all-nighter. This way we keep our work fun and fresh, even if we're too pooped to pop. So, Casey, you're the bomb.
Awesome.
Awesome. Respected. I feel very humbled. No, but thank you. That was a really good way to start my Monday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Casey.
Wow. Well done, Danielle.
Thank you. I'm so glad I didn't miss that.
I know. It's like, this isn't the same if the advocate's not here.
I know. Thank you so much, everyone.
You had like a little diva pop in. It's like, I'm here.
Oh, you know how it is to be a diva. You're fashionably late, right?
Totally. All right. Awesome. Casey, anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you so much. That was really sweet. Thank you, Danielle.
Love you, Casey.
Love you.
Great, beautiful. And, we're trying this new format with the Diva of the Week and sort of this Diva Advocate. So hopefully that goes well for people. It sounded like that worked this morning well for Casey. So well done. So as we might all know, Libby is not here this week. She's on vacation. And I think she's unleashing her inner diva by actually being on vacation. And so she won't be doing her company updates. So Eric, you can take it away. You might be muted.
Good morning. Feeling good. Just top level things that I'm thinking about is what are the next funnels for us? So there's obviously the funnels for the people that naturally find us that we want to target. So fitness trainers, nurses, kind of lowest hanging fruit. But then what are the new cold traffic funnels? What is the way that we're going to sell this to people who never heard of us? And so I'm looking at people like Christian Mickelson and Ted McGrath, Eben Pagan. Just who are the people who are creating basically cold traffic coaching funnels for newbies? EverCoach, Mind Valley. So those are the kind of the guys out there that are doing new funnels for new coaches, for people interested in coaching. And if we could take our market prowess in regards to having the team that we have and apply it to those who are most optimized on the online funnel strategy, then we will dominate. And so that's kind of what's up for me. Like, we've got a lot of competition, but we're in a really good place to capitalize in a way that other people just can't. So that's kind of just in general, like, who are we modeling? Who's the best in their game at what they do? And when you combine 1 + 1, it equals 4 because of because we have what we have what they don't have. We have a large enrollment team. We have data that drives our efforts in a way that this, the more smaller team, just it's hard to replicate. So that's kind of what's up. And then I'm thinking about our book and how are we going to leverage this book and what are we modeling. So I'm having some meetings this week around that topic. And obviously, again, like the highest leverage, how do we market our life coaching effort and make sure we have our landing pages and emails and scripts and talk tracks all created and aligned around our life coaching effort and ANHC. And just, again, like the videos that were shot, kind of what do we have and how are we leveraging that, and just making sure we're moving that along. And then last is I'll be leaving for New Zealand on Thursday. And so if there's anything around decisions that I'm required, that you need my input, I'd like to know that so that I can make myself available, but I definitely want to not be on call in New Zealand. So if you have something you need from me, let me know before Thursday, preferably. And yeah, I'm curious by how New Zealand will actually shape what happens next as well. I'll be traveling intimately with people who cover a lot of ground in regards to the coaching world and the thought leadership world, and I'm curious how that will translate into what we do and how we focus. So that's what's up.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Any response to anything that Eric said for just a few minutes? Anything anyone has to say about that? And Eric, in the future, do you want there to be any pauses between, what you put out there to see if there's any input, so it doesn't seem just such a one-way communication? Make sure that people are getting it if they have any questions or anything like that, or how would you like to run that moving forward? Are you cool the way it's going?
I think there's I'm open. I'm flexible. If there's something that somebody wants to jump in or like that sounds out of the blue or needs more explanation, then let's have it. So but for now, I think just kind of going through it and letting people comment or express concerns after makes sense.
Great. Okay. Anything there for anybody to say, or shall we move on? Okay, gonna move on. So Matt, metrics.
So I appreciate everyone who added the various KPIs by department that we have here in the workbook. I think we're all set on everyone's metrics. The next step that I would ask for folks that haven't yet done this is if you could add in the appropriate benchmark number for the metrics that are listed. If you need help with that, I'm sure Nick Abear can help with that. And then the benchmark is really just a stepping stone to the target. The target is what we're after. So I would think that it's reasonable that we can get that in place this week. I don't want to complicate things with the floor and the stretch for this game. It's just what is the target for those individual metrics, and so we can add that up. So is everyone able to commit to getting that this week?
So benchmark and target, right, Matt?
That's right. The target's what we're going after. Benchmark is what things are looking like today or recently, so that you can say, all right, here's where we are, here's where we hope to be. In some cases, there may not be a benchmark. That's fine, but the target's what's really matters and guides our efforts in the game. And thanks to those who've already filled that out.
Okay. And then how about also where it's collected from? Does Nick already have that information, or does that need to be in here as well?
Yeah, so Nick Hebert is responsible for putting together an overarching dashboard around this. So if it's not necessarily clear to him on where that data is collected, please feel free to add that information in here. We'll be looking to all of you to make sure that Nick has what's needed in order to gather the data for the dashboard.
Great. So questions about area metrics?
Yeah, I just got a question on the timing for submission. So Matt, when do we need to complete these? Do we need to provide you with the mechanism to pull these so we can look at them? What does that reporting structure look like after we've got it all determined?
Yeah, great question. So after we have this all determined, again, as long as Nick Hebert is in a position to gather the information, he's just going to put it together into a dashboard report in BIME that'll be updated as that data gets updated. I recognize that some metrics update at different cadences than others, and that's fine. The important thing is that we have this all in one place with the ability to update it as automatically as possible. There are some data points that won't go into BIME, so Craig could be an example with the finance team. That's okay too. On that dashboard, we can also include links to, let's say, Google Sheets. If you're collecting that data somewhere else, the important thing is that in one place you can go to and from there find all the information. So if you have questions on that, feel free to let me know. We want to make this as painless as possible.
Okay, thanks. That works. I'll have a word with Mr. Haber. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions on metrics? And if you don't recall from last week, one of the things that you're doing in your Power Talk time is actually reporting on your metrics. So let's get that dialed in so the dashboard is up. Okay, and then Matt.
I just have one thing to say, just seeing marketing and sales. I think we need to look at life coaching, close rate, and potentially conversion rate, and similarly like a nutrition close rate and conversion rate based on a focus on repositioning of life coaching and repositioning of A&HC. So that's kind of what it's a key piece of the next 90 days.
Okay. Marketing and sales, Casey and Erica, did you get what Eric said, and can you?
Yeah, so my my responsibilities for those projects are in the game, and they roll up to like the company metrics. So I don't know if it makes sense for me to own it. Close rate sounds like it would be sales.
So, okay. I guess the close rate on life and nutrition. Okay. I mean, we're definitely going to, on the front end side of things, we're going to want to see that we're lifting our conversion rate on our landing page for life coach and nutrition. Or we can look at it as like some other metric of success, like do we want to break out, life coach? So right now it's just virtual tour and masterclass registration rate. Do we want to actually look at that by bucket? I guess that they all optimize in.
I guess my only, and I'm open to looking at by bucket for close rate. It's the balance here between metrics that are top level that move the needle and getting down granular enough. And so what is that appropriate balance? If we're going to go to life, nutrition, health, do we just do it in terms of like enrollment rate? Because that's ultimately what matters, right? I mean, obviously in individual meetings we have and reporting, we'll look at that, but maybe it's like ultimately how did we move the needle from benchmark to target in those areas? Because that's what I think you really care about.
Yeah.
These
All right.
other things get you there.
Let's add it to the sales bucket then, like nutrition and life coach enrollment rate. I mean, I guess you could even close rate, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So, and then Matt, how about top level company metrics? Anything to say on those right at this point?
No, I think we're good on what they are.
Okay. And how about having these defined for average time on learning platform?
Yeah, I've got that as part of my my game, in the sense that reporting is something I really want to focus on, make sure that we're utilizing our reporting to its highest degree possible right now, and then filling in the picture with surveys and things of that nature so that we get this full picture and we can work towards getting that cumulative engagement figure that we want to have on there.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a help, but I can certainly prioritize it so we can look at reporting sooner and try to extrapolate that so we've got that company metric to look at.
Okay, guys, anything on this? Does it make sense that we don't have a current state data point on this yet?
And we've kind of got an ever increasing level of accuracy on it. For example, we do have the idle sequence, right? And the percentage of a particular cohort that's idle. So what we could do is we could use the ones that we have ready for the time being and then supplement it and add it. And if we feel like a change is required, which I think we will, to get that total engagement figure, we can do that. But we do have a figure to look at right now in the idle email percentage.
Okay.
And Nick, when you say like average time on site, we just on the LMS, we actually don't have that.
We do, but we discussed this, right? That it was potentially misleading to look at that figure. I don't think it's really like the mover that we really want. What we want to know is whether people are engaging. So what we're looking at.
I guess why not look at it? Like why not at least benchmark what we have today and see what
Well, it requires like work to do that, and it's ultimately like a bit of a fabricated number, in the sense that someone could be on the platform for hours and do very little. Someone could be on the platform for 5 minutes and do a lot, or an hour and do exactly what they have to do, right? And we would consider them an engaged student. What we discussed was
what I found with this though is there's still like a general average that happens, right? As far as
that may be the case, but we have to create that, Eric. We'd have to put like markers in, like from the last activity to the next activity, or between sign-ins. It's like it's a bit fabricated. I understand where you're coming from in that why don't we have it, but it requires work to extrapolate that information. And so the idle email sequence is a better representation of whether people are engaged or not anyway, right? Because it indicates to us what percentage of a cohort is not logged in for 7 days or more, which is something that is more of a relevant figure and something that we can say is important, right? Because we want to understand whether people are actually coming to the platform over X period of time, and therefore are they coming back on a repetitive basis, and therefore are they engaged, as opposed to it. We know that January is logged in.
I didn't see it as an either or. I see it as like I want to see more metrics, because right now I have zero idea. Like basically yes, disengagement or level of engagement is one metric, but also time on site is another. And it's more like I don't have any information, so I'd rather have something and at least see like, okay, we're trending up in regards to average time on site. I get the like that there's
we have indicators for that. Forgive the interruption. Like things like the chat. There's a BIME report right now which will show the average levels of students on platform at any given time and things like that, for example. And if you would like to use that, because that's what it'll indicate, then we certainly can. That's not fabricated by any means, because that will show peaks and troughs in terms of how many people are accessing the platform, total number, what time, all that sort of stuff. So that's not fabricated, and I'll be totally happy to use that.
Okay.
I just feel that the in between logins or like time on platform, quote unquote, requires work to extrapolate, and it doesn't tell us a great deal. Whereas the chat one, for example, tells us we used to, and we've seen that pattern, right? That we used to have 150 people on platform generally, and then it's now up somewhere towards 280. It's a sort of our average peak right now. And as we get the legacy students on board, that'll go up. So anyway, that seems to me like an accurate representation of how many people are on platform, quote unquote. And then the idle one will show us how many people are disengaged from their program of study. So if we would like to make those sort of our go-tos for right now until we can extrapolate what we think is a good total engagement number comprised of several different stats, that works for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. And in terms of how that's represented on the sheet, I don't know. I'll defer to Raj. How do you want to represent those numbers? Because I know we want one metric. So I personally would say let's look at the disengagement percentage per cohort right now as our one figure, so that we've got one and we're not dancing in the dark. And then we can supplementally provide that information about total numbers on platform and stuff like that to Eric or to the group at large, whatever you determine is the best way forward.
So Nick, you're saying what you had listed in your area metrics is the LMS idle data, that should
Yes.
be the metric number 2. And you could add a couple of supplemental metrics under tech development that we could measure.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a way forward. Yeah. I just think that we ideally we want that total engagement number, right? Because there's a lot of indicators here that comprise that, because we want to know if people are using success coaching, career services, this, that, and the other. We want to know their progress through a program. We want to know whether they're turning up every week to do their studies, things like that. So ultimately, we do want that cumulative number. But again, just to make sure that we've got something to work with right now, let's use the idle, because that seems like the most important of the numbers that we have right now, the best indicator. So let's use that. Absolutely, as you've said, take it out of wherever it is, put it in there as a standby. So we've got something to look at. And if we want to put the chat records, the statistics about total people on platform and stuff under a tech development one, I'm happy with that, yes. Make sense?
Yeah, we can follow up with the details afterwards, but I get it.
Okay.
Great. Matt, anything else on metrics?
No, I don't think so.
Great. I just wanted to check in for, like, how are people doing with this metrics focus? Are they feeling excited about it? Are they feeling a little bit like, I'm not sure how my area impacts metrics? How are you doing?
I'll say generally I feel good about it, right? I get the logic behind it, and also making sure that our goal zones align with a particular metric and stuff like that. I can understand. I think it's still sort of a bit of a bit tertiary at times. There's like no direct way to say I can affect this number by doing X today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on an individual level, but generally good. I think it's what we've got to do.
Great. Thanks, Nick. Go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, I think we want to plan out spending a little more time on metrics prior to a game cycle. It's like it feels a little incomplete. And it feels like we did more and better work this time around than we've ever done before, and it doesn't occur like we're all in agreement on what the metrics are. Most of these metrics, they're owned and impacted by multiple departments. And so I would just suggest that, I could see us having meetings specific to specific metrics, and everybody comes in and the outcome is we absolutely agree on what the metric is, what the goals are, and what the strategy is, including what every department is responsible for. So it feels like we've done a lot of that work, but it's a little incomplete.
Got it.
And that's my feedback.
Okay. Does anyone else feel that way?
I'll give you an example, like HCI live attendance. The people who set those metrics were Michaela, Casey, Matt. I wasn't involved in the original conversation. The metrics were sent to me. I don't necessarily agree with them. It's fine. We're all playing as hard as we can to get as many people there. but there's been, no consensus. And then the strategy is sort of like catch as catch can. It doesn't feel like a united push for it. So, but it's working. I'm not saying things aren't working. I would just like to see us take the next step in full clarity, agreement, strategy, and ownership.
Yeah, I hear that, Lucas. I'm just wondering if there's anything we can do about it in this game cycle to like just say this week, like, let's get these fucking metrics nailed so that we're all in alignment with them and we're driving towards them. I think it's pretty important. And I just feel like there's been a little bit of, like you're saying, Lucas, in this metrics generation process. Does anyone else have anything to say about that? Does anyone else feel that?
I mean,
Yeah, I
Go
get
ahead,
what
yeah.
Lucas is saying. Like for me, so many metrics that are key for a lot of people are under my ownership, and I'm okay with that. And I see what he's saying about the live event. Like I also agree that I feel like I have a pivotal role in that, but yet really wasn't involved in the discussions around setting those goals. But again, we just, we work it out and it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, to some degree, though, the counter of that is that these high-level metrics are things that we may not have like visibility on, right? Like Eric and Matt, for example, may understand the financials, Craig over there, and so they'll understand whether the net enrollment is something that's totally required or whether we're being a bit aspirational and stuff like that. So we can't always be involved, I suppose, is my point. We may not have complete visibility in order to make those decisions.
I would just separate working towards hitting a target and being involved in the decision on what the target is. They're totally separate things. I get that sense of ownership, but just because a person was not involved in the decision on what the target should be, you can still understand this is an important metric that I have the capacity to influence.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I would hope that we're aligning on that piece.
Well, I just throw in one more thing, Louis. Again, I think the stance we take is one that these are, to some degree, they're not necessarily do or die. I don't think anyone's going to be, turned over the fire if we don't hit them. So I like that about them, right? That they are perhaps a bit aspirational, and we are working together, and there's not direct ownership. But they're also, to some degree, no one's going to be getting a bullet if we don't hit a particular statistic, right? But it might help us understand why we haven't hit it, and that's the point where Lucas, for example, didn't feel involved, and it can say, well, this is why I think this is happening, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. I think everything's fine. I think we've up leveled and we're headed in the right direction. My request is if anybody's not like fully empowered around a metric that they're going to have to be accountable for, then be in communication about it. And I certainly am, because I'm fully aligned to do my absolute best, and I want myself and my team to be empowered. So if a metric is like occurs as completely unattainable and just looks good on a piece of paper, and then my team looks at it and it's like, we'll never hit that. It's not good for business to have metrics like that. So my request of myself and everyone is just want to check in and see, are we fully aligned and empowered? And then for the future, I would suggest next game cycle for key metrics, let's define them a little earlier and have meetings. Not that everybody has to be involved, but the key players. I think we miss a little bit of an opportunity to help amplify each other's activity towards some of these metrics. So that's all I'll say. We're doing great. Next time, let's be a little bit more.
I guess I'm curious, what is the metric that we're debating?
Well, I use HCI Live as an example, HCI Live attendance. So I have an email out to the people involved.
I guess what is that number, that like attendance rate of current student population?
No, it's like 900 minimum.
No, it was a 900 goal for seat deposits. When we went through the numbers, they were like, what would be even better is 1,000 and 1,050. But my goal has been 900, and we're at 530 now.
Okay. I'm curious, I guess, just in regards to how we go about getting to that number, what comes to mind for me is looking at last event and where we were in regards to eligible attendees relative to our student population. So
yeah, that's what I used to pull the numbers. And I went through it with Sage and several people on the call. It sounds like, Lucas, you just weren't on that call. I think you would have, if there were any issues, then I think we would have found them. So maybe it was just we didn't have the right people when we should have. But yeah, the metrics that I set were based on what we saw happen at the last event. And they were also based off of, I think, assuming 700 people for January and March, which we now know is not correct. So we can definitely go back and reevaluate where we think we'll be. But there was a ton of reporting and research that went into setting them.
got it. So yeah, Lucas, I guess I'm curious what you would, given that, it sounds like we could factor in, let's say, the 15% over estimate based on January and March, potentially. So that's one place that we can bring that number down just based on not hitting those particular metrics. So that would take the number down in a scientific way.
Yeah. And Casey, just so you know, I totally trust the logic and thinking that you all did and used at the start. It's just I'm talking more broadly about our process. Even HCI live attendance, I feel okay with it. Like what I did was I said, okay, clearly there's not a lot of bandwidth to revisit this conversation, so I'm just going to set a metric that I know will empower me and the team, and we're still going to work like crazy to get to 900, but not going to not going to pout about it. We're not going to slow anything down. We're just going to go with it. So I'm just saying in the future, let's build out our process for creating metrics and nurturing them as well, so that everybody's empowered. We're all on the same page. And I mean, like, even if we were to say, hey, let's schedule a conversation about it, I don't have time to do that in the next 2 weeks, really, to be honest, because we're executing other urgent, high priority things. So.
Yep. I don't know. I'm not hearing a process problem right now. I'm just hearing we're at a point where we might have overstated. So is it time to just adjust them?
Okay. Cool.
Okay, so I'll follow up with Matt on that. Great input, everybody, and we'll see what we're going to do about just getting clear on the numbers and alignment on the numbers. Okay, great, Matt. Anything else to say about that? All right, sweet. We're going to move on. So just in terms of some reminders for this week, we're doing our first Transformance training. And remember, that's an hour slot now instead of 30 minutes. It's on Thursday from 10 to 11 PST. And this week, we're going to be focusing on the Mr. Div training. And thank you, Lucas, for doing the prep work to get that form ready. And then Danielle is the one-on-one coaching slot this week. So Danielle, I'll follow up with you with some specifics on that. A couple other special reminders for this week in terms of the goal zone. There's a few small things that aren't finished yet. So people who don't have their area complete, you know who you are. Follow up with me if you're having any problems finishing that. We have reset our deadline to end of day Tuesday. I can't run the goal zone manipulation until I get all the data in there. Again, follow up with me if you're having any problems with that. In terms of personal game, just make sure that your personal game habit is what is inspiring you into action, because that's the habit that you're going to be doing over the next 90 days. And if you want to make any adjustment to it, this is the week to make it. Ohm and Val, I need to follow up with you to get a one-on-one session scheduled. So we'll have that this week. And just a reminder that in the win section at the bottom of your week section each week, there's the business win and personal win. The personal win should be related to your personal game. It's a way to keep you present in the team abreast of what you're doing in your personal game, and it's a fun way to share. One final announcement here is that the Gantt chart functionality in the game system is now running, meaning we can put timeline on our project and start and end dates. So I'll be following up with you all on that, but this will give us a nice way to track sort of what we should be working on week to week, because we can now time out our projects and how they work together in an operational perspective. Nick, hopefully that will support you. All right, great. It is time to jump into Power Talk time. Unless there's any other things from Eric or Matt, or any other things anyone else wants to surface right now, we'll jump right into the Power Talk time. So I'll give you just a second. Anything you want us to put in the space?
No, I guess just around ANHC and how we're thinking about and talking about it, this idea that Health Coach Institute is the first to integrate, you know, and really give specific direction on how health coaches integrate into with doctors. So that being like from a macro perspective, that's what ANHC is about. It's about taking like the stuff that doctors recommend and turning it into health coach protocols that people can actually deploy and turn into action. So we're the first. Again, I'm just like trying to shape this. ANHC, we've created it, people love it, but we haven't grounded into like something. So I just want to put that into the field, that's what it's about. It's about doctors and health coaches together.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks, Eric. So I was trying to post the process for the Power Talk time in the chat window, but it's too long. So I threw it in the game channel for Slack. So if you could refer to that, please, that'd be great. But I'll also guide you through, I guess I can throw this in 3 different blocks. So we're going to start at the bottom today. So let me actually, I'm just going to throw this in here in 3 different blocks. So step 1, I guess I can do it in 2 blocks. Step 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so that's in there. Do a little screen sharing here and share screen. Great. And let's do this. Okay, so starting at the bottom with completion, who do we got here? And everybody, apologies a little bit for the roughness of the meeting. I'm so used to operating with 2 screens. So Matt's not completing. Val, why don't you take it away? And we have roughly 60 seconds to complete, 60 seconds to talk about any area metrics, 60 seconds to talk about what you're up to this week, and then we have a little space to get some feedback. So Val, take it away.
All right. So I wasn't here last week. I just got back, so I am catching up on everything. But for reflection, I just got back from a week-long retreat in Thailand, and it was very, very uplifting. And I was able to participate in a wellness. I hosted a wellness workshop. Everything I learned from BHC, so it went very, very well. Now and Raj, I'm going to work with you this week, right, on completing the personal game habit and up-level action, because I couldn't put that in.
Yeah.
We can go to what I'm going to do this week, what I'm going to focus on.
Great.
Okay. So this week, I'm going to focus more on really diving into the CCs and finding and working on cross-training. So developing a plan, which I have done. I'm just going to refine it later. Those CCs who are higher close rates with life coaching leads, nutrition leads, those different buckets, really analyzing it and now focusing on cross-training, because I think there's a lot we could do. And also with ANHC, it's a really, really great program. I feel that we're not using it or leveraging it as much with our conversations with CC. So that's something we're definitely going to up level. And also, so that's the main focus this week, along to getting to our number and the lead ownership and those high scoring leads, giving it to those who have higher close rates. So work with Om on that too, and Nick, and really understand those reports, and that way we can leverage it to those CCs.
Great. And Val, are you owning any metrics to report on in terms of the area metrics?
I know that I will be. I'm gonna talk to Matt later, and to see which, and I am gonna own those.
Okay, great. So nothing to report on area metrics today?
No.
Okay. All right, great. So we have a few minutes for any input for Val.
Yeah, it looks spot on to me. I'm super excited for just all the empowered metrics that our teams have. So just, we're in a place of, just putting them into action. So thank you, Val, for jumping in.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, anything else for Val? All right.
I guess the big takeaway for me is how soon can we empower you folks with ANHC talk track and the life coaching talk track based on the script that was created for the video shoot that Stacy and Carrie did. So that's like syncing up. Danielle, do you have that handy to share with Val, the life coaching script for the video?
I do. I'll share that with you, Val.
Yeah, because as soon as I have it, I can do a workshop with the CCs. I have a regular workshop on Wednesdays, but we could do it. I know it's crunch week and everything, but that's the priority that I could focus on for this upcoming workshop in a couple of days. So Danielle, let's connect later.
I think we're planning to have all the materials to you April 4th, because that was what Erica had said was best. So if we could maybe do training like with the materials and the scripting April 4th or later, that would probably be ideal.
Are we talking about the customized 1,500 off, Casey, or are you talking about the specific?
The life coaching stuff that we.
Okay. Yeah, I did, Val, give them that as a deadline that we needed it by then.
Okay.
So if it's not enough time, is that what you're saying, Casey? If it's not enough time now, that's okay. I mean,
no. I was just saying that we probably shouldn't do training this week with crunch week.
Oh, right.
Hold it till the 4th, because that was what we were told.
Yes, that's correct. That's still right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I guess just as long as we're aligned on what the thing, like which are the key drivers. The other request that came out of the CC team was just a one-sheeter on our ANHC faculty, or just our overall like faculty that could be shared. I want to get my notes on it if there's something else that came up, but. Around how are we showing, reflecting HCI with more faces and more voices. So I think what might be the quickest way on the ANHC front is just a one-pager of our faculty that could be shared with the CCs. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Anything else on that before moving on to Om? All right, Om, take it away. Might be muted, Om.
Yeah, I just unmuted.
Okay.
78% completion last week, but the most important focus for last week was how to implement the scoring model we developed so that CCs know that these are the high score leads that they should be focusing on. And we implemented a process last week and developed a couple of tools to make it happen. So that is entirely in place and added to all the CCs Live Dash. So this week, the focus is on the high lead score side to how to get this information to the media buyers so that they can bid on it. We're almost there. We should be able to finish it by Wednesday. And the second focus this week is we implemented a lot of changes on the geo data that we were not getting previously. This week, there's a lot of QA happening on the geo side to make sure we are getting all the geo data we want. And we have the geo data for all the previous data also. So there's a little bit of focus this week to figure out how we can fix that entirely and QA, and if the tool is not working, in which direction we should move and things of that sort. Raj, can I go to week 2?
Great. Did you report on completions, wins,
Oh,
roadblocks?
the wins.
Yeah.
We finally got the reporting by buckets for CCs and WCs. That's a big win last week. There aren't really any roadblocks that I faced, and from a self-coach behavior, I think it usually helps me plan what will be my focuses for the next day. I've been doing that for a while since game 1. I'll stick to it because it's been working for me.
Beautiful.
From
And remember, everyone, in this section where we're reporting on the coming week, just what's the top thing that you think the team would be beneficial to know about, okay?
The top thing would be getting this high scoring lead data to the media buyers and also focusing on the geo data. The third, I mean, there's usually 2 or 3 top things. The third is the media reporting, which we're making a lot of changes to the media reporting that we think will be very powerful in making decisions. So those will be the focuses this week. On the area metrics side, our contact rate currently is at 49%.
Okay.
Raj, is there a place, should I write this down?
This will soon be appearing in the dashboard, so I'll be able to bring the dashboard up and show those numbers. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the contact rate is at 49%, and with all the changes that we are making, the goal is to get to 60%. I think with the reporting that shows where we are by bucket, and that gives focus for the CC team, we will be able to get to that number because we have defined buckets right now. Appointment set and completed appointment set. Currently, we are at 15%. The goal for this term is 18%. So we will, there's not much focus done on it last week, but there'll be more focus on increasing it in the coming weeks. Cost per enrollment is at 1,200 right now. The goal is 1,000. And that's why the media reporting is important, so that we can make decisions to get it down to 1,000. And focusing on life coach and nutrition coach can help us get to that level. Payment plan versus invest in full, where invest in full is at 46% compared to payment plan. This was to make sure that our invest in full does not go below 45%. So we are not below 45%, and the gross calls per lead is at 4 right now. We'll be measuring, we'll have more reporting done this week, but that will allow us to measure it, and so that we can start moving it in the right direction.
Great, nice job on the reporting there. Okay, so any conversation needed with with what he's up to, or any shift in focus?
No, that's awesome.
All right. Nice job. Way to represent on the metrics reporting there. Way to kind of model that. All right, beautiful. Nick. And I get that you were traveling, so just do your best with completing and then letting people know what you're doing.
I certainly will. Thank you very much, Raj. So my completion score would be around somewhere between 60 and 70, I think, for last week. All of the items there moved, but only around 3 or 4 made it to completion. I would expect all of the tasks that were in sort of last week's results table, if you were, to be complete this week, with few exceptions. It really depends on how we go about handling that A&HC thing. That's the only one I look at and I think maybe it won't be locked up by the end of next week. On a personal level, wins on a business level. The comms transfer went really, really well. Put a bit of time into that last week, and both Chris and Bob followed the existing process to a T. Comms were sent out on time, accurately. And I'm really confident that my involvement this week will be a straight check, and I'll essentially be able to just finish that whole goal zone item of transferring comms over to somebody else, probably by the end of this week. They're doing a great job, and I'm really pleased about that, because that saves me significant time and sort of concern at the end of a week every week. So that's great. On a personal level, as you probably aware at this point, been in Prague for the last month, and although there was much socializing, there was also a lot of business chat as well, as you'd imagine, over a beer or two. And it's just really great to have like capable and driven people like Matt and Nick and Kirill over there in Prague. It was definite win seeing those guys after that much time and being able to sit down and just, you know what I mean, just sort of just shoot it and see what comes out of those conversations. So very happy with that. This week focus will be on driving a lot of these to completion. I would say the most important one, it's touch and go between ANHC announcement along with that sort of grad bonus announcement, because the timeline, we're at about +5 days on what my desired communication date would have been around that. But also the overhaul, we're about +6 days from the date that I would have liked to have sent that survey out. So absolutely got to make sure that that's locked up, mechanisms put in place, and sent out this week. On the metrics front, which I know that I've kind of jumped over there, Mr. Harvey is going to be building a robust way for us to get that idle figure on the regular and get it directly into BIME. We're going to be focusing on the March cohort. So the one that we had there, which I think was a disengagement rate of 11% of the January cohort, where they are at this point in their journey. And that will switch to a March figure starting with next week. And I should be able to report on that. Matt's going to do that for me tomorrow. What else have we got that's a direct area metric? Okay, yep, we've got the student services and support team. So the support team, I believe it's a resolution SLA, sat at 90% Monday to Sunday of last week, which is fine. It's not bad, but we really want to be getting around 95% there. Student services team, they managed to retain their 100, which is it's pretty usual, I would say, because we need to drive their SLA down during this game cycle from 24 hours or whatever. I'd like to see it halved to 12%, to 12 hours. And so we'll see how their SLAs and their scores in respect to those SLAs react to us halving the SLA time for the student services team. I don't know if I've got any other ones there that I'll be able to report on right now. Just give me one moment. Refund rate for BHC May. I know that we're driving to a strong figure. I'm not sure what that currently stands at today, but other people will be able to report on that, because I think we're all in on the refund rate. And LMS uptime, I found out from Mr. Harvey as we discussed it over there, our uptime from start to finish is about 96.6%. However, that was dragged down by one bad month, essentially, where we decided to do a lot of work on the LMS. And generally speaking, we're at 99 point something% in terms of LMS uptime. So really good there. And that's only going to get stronger and the website faster as our Slovak DevOps man comes into play. For everyone's information, actually, we have made a new hire in the tech department. It's DevOps. So essentially, this is the guy that will work with response times, redundancies, making sure that our website is working quickly. And he has agreed to join us. So I think he's joining us at the start of May, if I'm not much mistaken. Maybe Matt or somebody could provide some further accuracy to that. But that's a big move for us as a company and as a tech department, because so far Matt's been spinning all those plates and he's not been working in his area of genius, his zone of genius rather. And this gentleman, this will certainly be his zone of genius. So I'd expect that to get higher. I think that's all of the ones that I can respond to right now.
Great.
So with that, I'll open up to questions.
I'm curious what else we could add to the tech development metric. Feels like LMS uptime is like just not.
Matt's adding, I believe he said that he would add the chat figure into there, right? So we're looking at people on platform.
Okay.
But the issue is with tech development, I know we had this in the last game, is at this point in our journey, we haven't got an agile development sort of structure in development, right? So we can't say that, we achieved 75% of our development goals last week, because we're frankly just not there. However, with the onboarding of the DevOps guy, that will free up space for documentation and process, as well as sort of my move towards that slightly more sort of project management, resource management type of role. We'll be able to get a much clearer idea, and we'll be able to start using that agile sprint method and be able to report back, so we can understand, how effectual our development team has been. Other than that, though, it's really goal based. It's very much like my position. My success or failure will be judged, much as theirs will be, on the completion of a task within a particular date range, right? And so I think you have to have that framework in terms of process, like this agile framework, which is used in development, to extrapolate that figure, right? And to gain that level of success without just saying, oh, we had 10 projects, they all completed on time. You want to have a consistent percentage, right? So I hear you, I very much hear you, but I struggle to see at this point in time, with the way that the team is and where they're at, sort of scalability wise, what we could use as a figure there that again makes sense. And I'm open to suggestion. It's just like I've looked into it, and my thought is that without that agile framework, we wouldn't be able to report back at this time on sort of output and how happy we are with that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I just have to, I'm just trying to think of something that, and I don't have something else. So I hear you, and when we're in a better place, we'll revisit this.
We absolutely will. I spoke to Matt about this and Kirill in Prague not too long ago, and we think that by the time the next game rolls around, that we will have process in place, documentation, and we'll already be using some form of like project management or department management. For example, like this agile thing. I just keep mentioning agile because I know that it's the go-to inside of development, really. So next game, we'll certainly be able to report back on how effective they were as a team or as individuals over any given period of time in terms of output. And between now and then, I'll be happy to supplement it if I see something that comes up, or if we actively look for it, I'll be happy to add some figures in there. But at the moment, it's more, a yes or a no. Has it been completed on time and to a satisfactory level? And that's kind of how we have to proceed.
Okay. Anything from your meeting that, any bar conversation that you're particularly?
There is one. It's around the localization piece. Again, it's one of our development items for the 90-day cycle. And what being on site just provided us to do, and to be honest with you, we must do a pretty good job of working remotely, because in person, everyone knew exactly what was going on, But the one that stands out to me anyway is the localization tool. Kirill is currently working on a sort of like a mapping project so that people will be able to opt in, and they'll be able to put their position down on a map of the world, and that'll dynamically work. And it speaks to that point about us being able to represent where people are, our health coaches in the world, people being able to do grassroots work together, stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited that that's already in motion. Nice. And they're making headway with it. Really pleased with that one. I think that one will be good for us. But, very, very flashy. It's a very shiny thing, but I'm sure we can we can do some less shiny things with it. Yeah, good question.
Love it. Yay. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pumped.
Great. Awesome. Good. Good to move on to Lucas.
Yep.
For me, thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, Lucas, take it away.
All right. So I have integrity to clean up. Did not do my wrap up or this week's preparation. Came up with a 62% last week. The key reason why.
Hey, just one thing, Lucas. Make a recommitment. With the integrity process. Yeah.
So I've committed. Rosie and I are going to hold each other accountable. Our Friday meeting, we will complete the week and frame out the week to come.
Great. And can you get your week created today?
I've completed it on paper.
Great. Got it.
Yeah. The main reason, the source of it was overcommitment. So I was feeling really good coming out of goal zone creation. I put everything under the sun. Wanted to have a slamming super week.
Yeah.
And it was a slamming super weekend. I didn't cover some of the ground. So, and then
nice job.
Yeah, we decided, inside of keeping our word to you, Eric, that we would test using Zoom inside of cohorts to lead conversations. We added that to absolutely get done by the end of March. And so anyway, we're full. The key win, I would say the winning theme is delegating. So we're just getting better and better at having the right people on the right projects, and they're doing quality work. And it's starting to free things up for me to be able to do other things. So personally, Monday and Tuesday last week, I took an hour-long walk during select meetings. So I was working while walking through the woods without any drop in quality for those, for my work during those hours. And that was amazing. I was even doing sprints up and down a mountain at one point
So great.
with total permission from my HMBA student who had a killer coaching call. So the rest of the week did not go so well, but that's all right. Progress. Roadblocks. It's really not a roadblock. It's just we're rolling out new things. It's a big deal right now to go from one-to-one coaching to group coaching for BHC. And it's required a lot of care and attention. We have our eye on the refund rate. We have our eye on serving our students to the highest, honoring the hard work that our enrollment team did to make sure that this goes off without a hitch. So that's where the focus has been and will continue to be over these next 2 weeks. Metrics.
Can you identify any up-level behavior for the week?
Up-level behavior. Keep it simple. Focus on the highest leverage in the weekly action sheet, especially over the next 2 weeks. Occasionally I can have those kind of killer weeks where I cover tons of ground, but not these next 2 weeks.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw in each day, ask myself at least once, am I focusing on the highest leverage thing I can, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll fill that in a moment, some metrics.
I'm not going to report on all the metrics in there. My total attention is on nailing the refund rate, the way that student engagement and success coaching team can impact that over these next couple of weeks. And then I'll start reporting in on HCI live attendance and things like that, probably 2 weeks from now.
Okay, great, and coming week.
So my way of being is in love with life, on point, and highly effective.
Okay.
And the one big thing is group coaching. So we're poised to announce coaching to the BHC March students this week. Nick Baker may need your help just to kind of tweak that announcement because we have 5 coaches who are coaching. So we may want to include all their photographs. So maybe just some small HTML help, but it shouldn't be too big of a change from our past announcement emails. And then Matt Sussman, big thing. Absolutely have to have a dedicated staff person from Appointment Core to be there to troubleshoot anything if it goes wrong as we announce this. We do have a redundancy plan. If something goes wrong, we have a backup plan. But yeah, we need them to show their commitment to us in this way at this time, so that we don't have any hiccups that impact our March students.
Okay, great. And let's just, as leaders of our area, just ask when you're done, say, hey, is there any input or any focus you need me to have for the week? However you want to say that.
All right. Anybody have any input or questions? And I'm not accepting any additional foci for this week, so you can save that.
What's foci?
Focuses.
Oh, got it. Well, I guess I just want to put out in regards to metrics, the percent show up rate or percent engagement with group coaching. Is that something that we can include?
Yeah, that's in the goal zone. So we are shooting for a certain percent who have scheduled by 2 weeks after the start date, as well as a percent who've completed a call through the refund rate.
Got it. But is there a general just for the term that for a cohort that we're aiming for?
Once we get to the refund rate, we'll set the rest of those numbers.
Okay.
Just want to nail that.
Cool. And then just is there a satisfaction number that we want, like an average satisfaction rating?
Well, our baseline is 80, is 97% satisfied and over 80% highly satisfied. So
is that just like a number, like, do we include that just for the sake of having, so we're watching it?
Yeah, we can include it here. We definitely watch it, and I can report on it here.
Okay. Cool. The last piece is not a new focus, but what comes to mind is how are we selling our success coaching today relative to what is today? So it's group coaching now, and we've also been very deliberate of who the people are, who are your coaches, and why it makes sense. And I feel like and correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't actually changed like how we sell success coaching right now. Like we don't have a talk track that.
Yeah, we do. We started it at the beginning of this term. I can copy you on the link. I'll cut and paste the language and pop it in the chat. Well, it might be too much for the chat, but I can send it to you in an email or tag you on Confluence.
So it's latest and up to date, and we feel good about it. It's been looked at. Great.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Sweet. Thanks.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
Eric, when do you leave?
Thursday night.
So, okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, great. I've just been letting the time flow a little bit with open conversation just to see how they kind of pan out. We have 15 minutes left, and we have roughly 5 people to cover. So we're going to tighten up the timing a little bit. So let's do 2 minutes each just to report on completion, what you're up to in metrics, and then have about a minute for open time. And we'll just keep playing with the timing as we play with this new meeting format. So take it away, Erica.
Okay, so 87% completion from last week. It continues to be a challenge to set priorities ahead of time. This is my reflection. And then schedule the time for those priorities and plan it out and map it out ahead of time. But then when we're in the week, new urgent projects develop. And that, is no comment on the quality of those projects. It's just a frustration in terms of priority and time management. Good wins last week. I felt it was a really big win that my team leaders felt okay about this transition and me stepping back and stepping out. And they didn't panic. It didn't seem to throw anybody into a total panic. So I was pleased about that. Personal, we had a really nice visit. We had some family in last weekend, and it was really wonderful and special. Roadblocks, sitter situation I explained last week. At least this week, I'm interviewing someone new, and I could at least plan ahead and manage my schedule ahead of time, knowing when I have gaps. Up-level behavior, just trying to integrate those personal game tools to develop them into a daily habit to be more grounded and centered throughout the day. This week, really, the number one thing is the March finish. So we close the session in 8 days, and we're behind. So it's all about focusing on that in terms of a number one topic.
Awesome. Okay, and in terms of any metrics, Erica?
It's still scrolling for me.
Okay.
Okay, so, do we want the team attempt rate, contact to close rate? I would have to, sorry about that. I would have to dump these in from today's report, so I just don't have them handy.
Great. And you were just kind of like prototyping this whole format, so we get that we'll be reporting on metrics during the slots, so just everyone prepare for that.
Yeah, okay.
Great. Yeah, okay, any input for Erica?
Erica, when I look at all the metrics, the one that comes to mind is webinar, our close rate on webinar attendees for the cohort. And that's where we have the biggest shortfall relative to what we did last term. So that's, I guess, everyone's focus, I would say, would be around, those webinar attendees and really making sure you maximize contact rate for those people this week.
Yep, I completely agree with you. Thank you for highlighting.
Sweet. Okay, great. Anything else for Erica before we move on? All right. And any notes about metrics, please capture those and get them into the area metrics sheet as that applies to your section. So David, take it away.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Completion rate last week is 71%. I spent extra time on some high leverage items and did not get through all of my 17 telemedicine companies, as well as all of the top 5 targets. Key business win last week, Sequoia, looking forward to what's to come on that. We've got a meeting scheduled for next week on site in San Mateo, California. So that's going to be exciting to go through this process as we gear up for other whales we're trying to secure. Personal game win. I was pleased with the development of my personal game habit. Looking forward to see how that pans out. Key roadblock, just a lack of bandwidth. Let's see, up-level behavior. I'm going to table and reduce items like one-on-ones, career service office hours. That will free up more time for more high-leverage activities. Area metrics, working with Nick and Lucas to incorporate exit interviews in the curriculum as part of the certification for BHC, ANHC, and HMBA. And let's see, so intention for the week, just to be and think high leverage, and top thing for this week, I'm gonna, obtain a breakthrough with a second top 5 target. I'm not sure who's gonna be, Accenture, United Health, New York Life, or Vivray. Thank you very much, Erica. One of those, I'm looking for a breakthrough. Any questions for me?
This is any update for VA, the VA, like do we have a connection point there?
Very good. Yeah, Matt and I was talking about this last week. We have an individual, Gary Carpenter, who we are working with. We've got, a contract in place for referrals from the VA. And, like I said before, working with the VA, the government, it's a lot of times a hurry up and wait. But I have a meeting scheduled with Gary. There's follow-up next steps. So we'll see what happens, and I'll definitely be reporting on that.
Gary Carpenter is not a big opportunity. The opportunity is the person from the VA who reached out to us. That's right. The person you need to be talking to from my perspective.
Right, and that would be that guy that Nancy Gatwood referred to us, and I'm going to keep trying because he wasn't as responsive. I think he had to go on a trip or something for about a week and a half to 2 weeks, and that was some time ago. So I am going to reignite that relationship and try to see if we can get something going. But again, he just kind of dropped off, but we'll reach back out.
Okay. Let's put that on the list each week. I want to then strategize how we potentially get back in the.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing it up because in the world of business development, marketing, and trying to reach out, you can sometimes let something drop off if you're not getting the kind of response you want. So I think that's what I did here in the past week or two. So I'll put it back out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Danielle needed to jump on a call, so we're moving on to Craig.
Okay, last week I finished up at 91%. Had a great week, made a lot of progress on some big items in preparation for this week, which is going to be a big week for us on our NetSuite conversion. That was some of the business wins, is that I did get some information to Matt on our forecasting, got that updated and over to him so we can make some hiring decisions based on some data there. It's going to be a work in process for he and I over the next couple of weeks. But I was able to get that accomplished and then work on the conversion to NetSuite, which is going full bore this week. Personally, found a little bit of downtime late in the evenings, at the expense of some sleep, to watch a little bit of the World Baseball Classic in anticipation of the opening day coming up this next week. Enjoyed the weekend, also celebrating our son's 6th birthday. So that was a lot of fun. Roadblocks is a little bit of the data coming out of QuickBooks is not very friendly. It's taking me a lot of time to format the data for importing into NetSuite. There's been a lot of inconsistent data input as well, so I'm having to work around that, and we'll get through it, but it's taken a little bit of time. My up-level behavior is I'm working this upcoming week to really move some major tasks forward, and I'm going to find 3 times each day to just stop and reground and stay centered, because with as much going on and under the time limit that we have, it's easy to fall out of that. Want to continue to stay focused in that way if I can. My intention for this week is to stay present in the moment and grounded, so finding those times will be big. The main focus this week is going to be the setup of NetSuite, getting the data from QuickBooks, getting data from Infusionsoft, and getting that pulled into NetSuite. Already had a lot of that get done this morning. Have to work on some errors in import that happened the rest of the day today and then tomorrow, and just fine tune that setup. And that's the big thing for this week. I don't have any updates on the area metrics for our team at this point. Did get those set with Matt last week, but I don't have any updates to them to focus on at this point today. Are there any questions or other areas that someone would like me to consider focusing on the week?
Hey, I just had a quick question, and maybe you told us this at some other point, but once the NetSuite is up and running, I guess I'd be curious as to what kind and how often of reports that we'll be seeing.
This is part of the 90-day game that I'm building in, that the executive management team is going to see monthly financial statements. We're trying to get into that rhythm already coming out of QuickBooks, just to get ourselves ready. But what we're doing is getting into that process of closing monthly, things that CA Accounting was not doing. They were not closing on a certain day of the month and all that. And that's part of my 90-day game, is to get that set and in place. We're well on our way. But if the idea is that we'll have monthly reporting to the management team to see the results of the operations.
So exciting. Thank you.
Yep.
Craig, just that you're working closely with Gigi on these imports and exports, is that the...
Yes and no. Some of the data is coming out of QuickBooks. I'm able to export the data from QuickBooks on my own. It's just unfortunately due to the lack of continuity or the consistency in how the data was put into QuickBooks because of CA Accounting, other people, it's in this field and not in this field, or it's not entered in the first name and then the last name in those cells. It's just, I've got to marry data, I've got to split data, it's things like that. But on the importing of daily sales and new customers, that is definitely, I'm working with Gigi on those pieces. This is getting historical data out and in versus new data going forward, which he and I are working on.
Cool. Okay, great.
All right, nice job, Craig, and nice up-level action. Casey, take it away.
Hey guys, so I had 59% completion last week. Similar to Lucas, I wanted to do all the things and I wanted to do them all at once, which really didn't work. And on top of that, we just had a busy week with Crunch Week. Roadblocks was really just email. We had a ton of email going out and it just didn't feel like we were in a good scalable place. So I really want to kind of hone in on our email process over the next few weeks to make sure that's not an issue going forward. And we can switch to this week. My focus for this week is twofold. One, just to make sure that the end of the class stuff is in a good place so that Erica and her team have everything they need to close this cohort. And then second, keep driving forward with the life coach certificate material so that next week they're also good to get started on that. And I pulled reporting for our email meeting that's coming up so I can share some metrics. Last week we had a range of 25% to 37% click rate for new leads. So that's pretty good engagement. I'd like to see the 25% higher, but knowing that our busiest day had 37% was good. And our open rate was in the 40s for the most part. There was one day where it was lower on Sunday, but across the board, we're seeing an open rate of 43, 49, 45%. So really high engagement from new leads, which is good to see.
Wow.
Anything else you guys want me to be focusing on or thinking about this week?
We'll probably connect on this offline, Casey, but just on the ANHC thing, just to keep one eye on the timing and all that sort of stuff. But we can connect offline just to make sure it's on your radar.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Anything else for Casey?
Not right now.
All right, everybody. Well done. We're finding our groove in this new meeting format. If you hadn't created or completed your week, please do that today. And make sure you get your metrics dashboard, metrics information updated. We'll see you on Thursday for the Transformance training. Please reach out to me if you have anything else that you need. Eric, anything you want to say in closing?
Nope. All good stuff.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.
Have a great
Bye.
rest of the day.
Cheers.
Bye for now.